webinar, and we are organizing this international webinar during the last 2 months. And we thank all the participants for this enthusiastic participation. And in this platform, I thank our management for giving this opportunity, and all the speakers who are, when we are inviting, they are accepted and delivered their webinars. The same way, today Dr. Muran accepted the invitation to deliver this webinar on the topic of skills and career opportunities for pharmacists, a global perspective. The topic is one of the need of the hour, because many of the students who are feeling dark after the completion of the course, or when they are in the about to completion of the course, hope this seminar may throw some light on them and they feel happy in this lockdown period. So with these few words, I request Dr. Saravanan to introduce the speaker and the college and start the session. Dr. Saravanan, you can start.
Yes, thank you, sir. So, I wholeheartedly welcome all the delegates for the 5th International Webinar on Skills and Career Opportunities for Pharmacists, a Global Perspective by Dr. Mayuran Kandasamy. So, I am very happy to introduce MNR College of Pharmacy to the gatherings. The MNR College of Pharmacy is established in the year 2004 and it is approved by AICTE and PCI. MNR College of Pharmacy is affiliated to Osmania University, Hyderabad, and we are offering the courses B Pharmacy, PharmD, M Pharmacy, PharmD, PB. MNR College of Pharmacy having state-of-art pharmaceutical laboratories, and we are having libraries with more than 10,000 volumes of specialized books, and we have subscription to many national and international journals, and we are also providing a digital library facilities to our staffs as well as on students. 50 faculty members are working in MNR College of Pharmacy. Among them, 20 faculties are with PhD. And the faculty members as well as the student members teams are guided by our principal, Sir Dr. V. Alagarsamy, who is a recipient of Young Scientist Award from DST India. He published many reputed books. Among them, the most popular one is Textbook of Medicinal Chemistry. And he is the editor of Anti-Infective Agents, a well-known Bentham Science journal. Along with curricular activities in MNR College of Pharmacy, we are encouraging the students to participate in co-curricular activities such as conferences, guest lectures, industrial visits. And we are also providing an extracurricular activities such as cultural and sports activities. And we are taking on a special initiatives for university rank coaching, placement facilities, personality development, career counseling, coaching for higher studies, and guiding our students for foreign university admissions in MNR College of Pharmacy. And our chairman, sir, Sri M.N. Raju garu always will tell that education and discipline is the two eyes. So hence in MNR College of Pharmacy, we are providing a favorable environment for studies, and hence there is no distraction from the studies. Individual care is taken for each and every students, and we follows SMS system for absentees, and every month progress reports are sent to parents, and we are teaching the students with a self-respect, and we are offering educations with a less cost, and we are giving fee concession for meritorious students. So with this brief introduction about MNR College of Pharmacy, I am now very delighted to introduce the today's speaker to the gatherings. Dr. Mayuran Kandasamy. He is a life member of Malaysian Diabetes Association, Tamil Nadu Pharmacy Council, and Association of Pharmaceutical Teachers of India. He is having experience of around 15 years of teaching and research experience, and he completed his B Pharmacy in the year 2003 in CL Baid Mehta College of Pharmacy, Chennai. In the same college, in the year 2005, he completed his M Pharmacy in the specialization of pharmacology. In the year 2010, he completed his PhD in Vinayaga Mission University, Salem. His areas of research interest is cardiovascular and metabolic disease. He is an editorial board member of Asia's Pacific Journal of Health Sciences and Indian Journal of Pharmaceutical and Biological Research. He is a peer reviewer for more than 10 national and international journals. Until now, he reviewed many manuscripts. He's doing a collaborative research work with the University of Strathclyde, Glasgow, University of Warwick, and Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen. Dr. Mayuran Kandasamy has 2 research awards for his credit, and he got on a many grants from India as well as on a foreign countries, and put together he's having till now 4 research grants is approved for him, and that one he is as a principal investigator. In the another 3 grants he is on a co-principal investigators. Almost more than 50 lakhs grant in the Indian rupees monies he got on a research grants, and he's having on a one book for his credit, and more than 50 international and national journal publications for his credit, and he attended and presented on a paper in more than 25 conferences. He's acted as a research person, including chairperson and judges in many national and international events, and he's attended about 35 workshops and trainings. He guided 23 B Pharmacy and 8 M Pharmacy students for the completion of their courses, and he is a reputed examiner for many PG and PhDs in reputed universities. Along with its research and academic activities, he is also taking on many responsibilities in administrative as well as on extracurricular activities. After M Pharmacy, he started his career as a lecturer in Bapatla College of Pharmacy in 2005. Till 2012, he worked in that college, and he holding a many position in Bapatla College of Pharmacy. From 2012, he joined in the Life Sciences College of Pharmacy in International Medical University. Now he is a program director for B Pharmacy in that particular university. So with this brief introduction, now I am very delighted to call Mr. Dr. Mayuran Kandasamy to present his presentation to the gatherings. So Dr. Mayuran sir, now the stage is yours. Please sir.
Thanks, Dr. Saravanan, for your very detailed introduction about myself. Yeah, should I be sharing the screen now?
Yes, sir. You can share your screen, sir.
Yes, let's do it first. All right. Can you view this? Are you able to view it? View my screen?
Yes, sir. We can view your screen. On 1 minute, Dr. Saravanan, you see one participant, Mr. Sarang Yogesh. That person, Mr. Sarang Yogesh. Hello, participant name, Mr. Sarang Yogesh. Sarang. Mr. Sarang Yogesh. Hello.
Sir, principal sir.
You see, sir, he's so much distracting you. Hello. Hello,
yes,
Dr. Sir.
Sir, shall I remove him, sir, otherwise?
Remove him, sir.
Okay, sir. I will remove it, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, removed, sir. No problem.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whoever is distracting you, remove it, sir. No problem. Sir.
Definitely, sir.
Just go and check whoever is distracting the session. Please remove it.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you, sir. Continue, sir. Dr. Mayuran, you can proceed.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Shall I start now?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
you can, sir.
Thanks. Okay. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the talk on skills and career opportunities for pharmacists, a global perspective. This is Mayuran Kandasamy. I'm the program director for Bachelor of Pharmacy Honors at International Medical University, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I take this opportunity to thank the principal, Professor Alagarsamy, and the team, Dr. Saravanan, Dr. Professor Saravanan and team from MNR College of Pharmacy for inviting me to deliver this session today. I also take this opportunity to thank International Medical University and the Dean of the School of Pharmacy for providing all the support for this session to be delivered. Okay, I wholeheartedly welcome everyone again for this session. All right, so as you know already, the title for this session is Skills and Career Opportunities for Pharmacists, a Global Perspective. So moving forward, what are we going to expect, or what is to expect from this session is going to be told in this particular slide. you can see that there are 5 outcomes from this session. The first one would be the link between knowledge, skills, and competency. The next one, we would focus on core competencies. Yes.
Myron, sir.
Yeah.
So, you can keep your presentation in a presentation, sir. It was that
all right.
presentation mode, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Now it's okay, sir.
All right, great. Okay, so the third one would be expected skills for the various domains of work. And then opportunities for a degree in pharmacy would be the fourth one. And where are we supposed to see the avenues that are available to improve further on our skills? All right, so these are the elements that we would be focusing for today's session. All right. Okay, first thing about knowing about a pharmacist. So as many of you here might be faculties, and we also have students, a pharmacist, by a simple definition, it goes by a person who is professionally qualified to prepare and dispense medicinal drugs. So you can use this explanation to describe a pharmacist in short. So you need to pick up the very important elements. Professionally qualified, you have 2 elements here. You are qualified to prepare, and you're also qualified to dispense. And that's how you describe a pharmacist very briefly. And in order to become a pharmacist, you need to undergo a professional training or a professional degree program. You need to undertake a degree program, and that's called as Bachelor of Pharmacy around the world, okay, most commonly. To that, I know pharmacy is versatile, it's dynamic, it's growing, and it is increasingly diverse. Because it is increasingly diverse, it is able to create exciting opportunities for all candidates who are pursuing the course and who have already pursued the Bachelor of Pharmacy and who are currently working. So it is exciting, the reason because it is able to create opportunities for service. All right, so it is very necessary that we need to be confident that we have embarked on the right track in order to serve the community or be part of the healthcare system. In other words, you can also call a pharmacist as a drug expert who is ultimately concerned about the patient's health and wellness, because we are all part of the healthcare system. All right, so this is applicable for pharmacists. We are the experts. You need to be proud and you need to be privileged of being a pharmacist, okay, and never to be low of having that qualification. Okay, so since this topic, today's session is going to be revolving around skills, it's going to be revolving about the career opportunities, it is very important for us to understand the meaning of certain terms that are linked together, and also to understand how it is actually linked. It is very important to speak in short about those elements before we move forward today. Okay, the elements are knowledge. The next would be, I would like to pick up skills. And lastly, we will also be talking about competency. What it is and how, what it is, what is knowledge, what is skill, what is competence, and how are they linked? Okay, how are they linked, or how are they connected to your career? That's very, very important to understand. So we need to be familiar with these terms before we connect. We try to establish the link to the career. All right, so moving forward, about knowledge. What is knowledge? To put in simple terms, Knowledge is the theoretical or practical understanding of a subject. All right, theoretical and practical understanding of a subject, which is primarily obtained from the program. It is primarily obtained from your Bachelor of Pharmacy or Master of Pharmacy, or whether it's a PharmD, the ultimate knowledge, the basic knowledge is being provided primarily through the course. Of course, nevertheless, we also have other opportunities to search for knowledge. Always, it is not always from the book, and it is not always from the curriculum. You have several things which are hidden as well. Okay, so with the current advancement, the information is widely available through the internet sources. Okay, and it is the responsibility of every individual, be it a student or be it a staff or be it anyone, to upgrade themselves, to seek for information, seek for knowledge through these online platforms. It's not necessary that we should be confined to the classroom at this point of time. Yes, when I was a student, many years back, the resources were very limited. Now everything, you can sit inside your room and even just have the entire world in your hand. Information is boundless. All right, so then moving on to skill. Okay, skill is something which is very, very important. You're not skilled enough, then there's a question mark. Who's going to employ? You need to ask a question for yourself. Am I employable? Am I really eligible to work in this setting? Because as I told you earlier, pharmacy, the scope is extremely huge. I can also say that pharmacy is one of the professional program with such number of opportunities, career opportunities. All right, so it comes with a cost. You need to be skilled enough, right? So what is a skill? The ability and capacity, listen very carefully, the ability and capacity acquired through deliberate, systemic, and sustained effort to smoothly and adaptively carry out complex activities. Ability and capacity to perform something which is very complex. Okay, it involves usage of cognitive skills, it involves your technical skills, it involves your interpersonal skills. So together, with the help of all these three types of skills, you perform a task. Okay, and the task is not a simple one, because you are a professional. It can only be performed by you. So that is the reason why you need to emphasize on developing these skills. Okay, you can ask me a question, sir. Yeah, you spoke about cognitive skills. Can you give me an example? The cognitive skills means the ability of yourself to think, the ability of yourself to read something and understand, learn, remembering, and comprehend. Okay, you should be able to reason out. Okay, and you also should be able to pay attention to something. Only if you pay attention, you can learn. Only when you learn something, you'll be able to perform. So it's a gradual growth. Okay, it's a steady progress. It's not that you're going to be skilled in immediately. It is going to be gradual. All right. So what do you, you can ask me another question. Can you give me examples of technical skills? Yeah, technical skills, it includes knowledge to perform the task that I told you, the complicated task that involves your skills. It also involves ability to understand the mechanical aspects, the technical information, the usage of IT information skills, your mathematical abilities, and your scientific knowledge. Okay, for example, knowledge of programming a language, okay, to communicate something like this. In addition, okay, you have your cognitive skills, you have your technical skills. Is that all? Am I going to be skilled enough? No. Yes, it is a part. It also involves the interpersonal skills, right? your interpersonal skills, for example, people skills, because you're a pharmacist, you're going to meet up with patients, you're going to meet up with other team members, you're going to meet up with physicians, researchers, academicians, etc. So people skills, socializing skills, you should be able to communicate. Okay, soft skills, communication. I'm able to communicate. We have never met, and thanks to technology, we are using technology. We are all becoming technology savvy because of the situation. The situation, as the pandemic situation, has forced us to learn, to embark on using all these devices, the technology, the platforms, which we have never thought of before, to be very frank. Of course, certain countries, based on the advancements of technology, it's been put into use as well. Okay, so communication, emotional intelligence is very important as well. Very, very important aspect when you are going to be employed. They look at your emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, you need to be very calm and composed, even in a pressurized situation. All right. Team working abilities. You cannot be working in silo all the time. You need people to work along with you. You cannot do all the things by your own. That's very important. Negotiation skills. You need something. You're fighting for something, but you don't just beat up someone or grab something from someone. You need to negotiate. Yes, these are the terms and conditions. You need to talk with people. Okay. Conflict management. Once you are at a higher management level, you have staffs under your control. There might be conflicts. Conflicts is inevitable. Conflicts happens. You need to control. You need to be able to control that, right? And problem solving skills, decision making is quite difficult, but of course there are trainings for that. So all these things put in a nutshell is falling under one single term, skill. It might look very simple, but it's very, very necessary to survive and to be competent. Okay, moving forward, about competence. Yeah, this is the reason why we were talking about knowledge. We were talking about skills. Eventually, what are we going to achieve? Your knowledge and the skill set that you have is going to assure that you are competent enough to perform a task. You are competent enough to perform a specific role or to be designated specifically or take up a very challenging designation. Okay, so how can you define competence? A cluster of related abilities and commitment, knowledge and skills that enable a person, okay, to act efficiently, So all organizations, wherever, all organizations includes all the areas that we are going to focus on, all the sectors, the organizations in all the sectors look for someone who is competent enough to carry out the job very, very efficiently. Underline, very, very efficiently. So this indicates sufficiency of knowledge, sufficiency of skills that enables you to act in a wide variety of situations. Okay, so you cannot ignore acquisition of knowledge. You cannot ignore or disregard acquisition of skills. How does the skill come? You need to practice. It's not that you learn something, you acquire it the next day. Knowledge and skills are two different components. Your skills requires practice. That's why I told you, repeated, sustained repetition. You perform the task again and again and again, you become an expert. All right? Okay. Moving forward. Now, eventually, now you know what is knowledge, you know what is a skill, you know what is competence. So now I ask you a question. What is core competency? And why is it important for the pharmacy professional? Okay, so if I were to explain to you, I can put it like this. The core competency of a pharmacy professional will revolve around the cluster of related abilities, as I told you earlier. Okay, that enables, listen carefully, that enables a person not to be replaced or substituted with a non-professional candidature. I hope that you have understood this clearly. I'm trying to say, in short, a pharmacist with all the competencies expected at the global standard, all right, is very, very difficult or cannot be replaced or substituted by another professional. A pharmacist is always a pharmacist. We have our responsibilities and we have our competencies, which we are supposed to demonstrate until we are part of this family, the pharmacy family. So we should never give up. All right, it is a professional course. Okay, and you should value it. You should be privileged. Okay, right. Moving forward, since we know about skill, knowledge, and competence, and we have tried to link it in a very simple manner, and we have also spoken about the core competency and why is that important, and why is that important for you not being replaced by an alternative. Okay, so what is that? Core competency for a pharmacist. Okay, as you might be knowing, it's an opportunity for you to learn here. So core competency, be it any country, the sector, the pharmacy sector is governed by a council. For example, you have the Pharmaceutical Council of India, you have the Malaysian Pharmacy Council, okay, you have the Canadian Council, okay, the Royal Pharmaceutical Society of Great Britain, okay, you have the Australian Pharmacy Council, New Zealand, etc., etc. So they expect all those who have graduated from the program to have the certain or to comply with certain requirements. So it is the program, your program that you are undertaking, the pharmacy program is designed in a way that it is going to meet up with all these standards. We might not know as students, you might not be knowing, you might be knowing that, okay, I have a syllabus which has year 1 until year 4, or some of the universities might be following semesters, yeah, which has 2 semesters and it has some content. You are supposed to read through it, memorize it, you do the practical aspect, and then you are supposed to pass, get the numerical pass, 50% or something like that. You need to pass the practicals and you need to pass the theory component. But that's all you might be knowing at this point. But you might not know the background. Everything comes with a purpose. You might be, why do I need to listen to this lecture? Why do I need to go and visit a hospital? Why do I need to go and visit a community? Or why am I supposed to attend this workshop? Yeah, it's for a purpose. You are trying to answering something globally. Okay, your program is trying to meet up with the standards globally. So what is a global standard? I'm not sure how many of you have heard, but you should be knowing about International Pharmaceutical Federation. There is something called as FIP, okay, which all countries will have to take it and refer the standards. Okay, so it is like cascaded. You try to learn from your the governing body or something at the global level. Okay, so for your information, we have something called as the International Pharmaceutical Federation, all right, which is at the global level. You should be proud of that. We all should be proud of something because we are professionals, right? It's a professional body at the global setting. So it will list down few. Okay, looking at that, the first one, identify pharmaceutical care issues and utilize professional skills to supply medicines. Okay, the pharmaceutical care, you should be a care provider, pharmaceutical care provider. You should be able to deal with issues associated with patients in regard with their medications. All right, you need to utilize your professional skills in that while you're dealing with that. That's why I say utilize professional skills to supply in accordance with pharmaceutical knowledge. And you also need to comply with legislation and codes of professional conduct and practice. This is very, very important, my dear friends here. You need to understand that ethical practice, being professional, is very, very important. If you look into any of the governing councils or the guidelines, they emphasize a lot on ethics, professionalism, okay, which you might not know. All these things are hidden within your curriculum. Okay, you might ask your facilitators, your teachers, whether it's in your curriculum or not. Yes, of course, be it any part of the world, all these things are part and parcel of the pharmacy curriculum. And the next thing, interpret and evaluate prescriptions and other orders for medicines and advise patients and other health professionals about medicines and their usage. Are we going to just deal with patients? No, you are going to deal with other healthcare professionals as well. So you are going to provide patient care. You're going to advise them. You're going to counsel them. Okay, you should be having the skill to evaluate a prescription, to find out the errors in the prescription, to make it very simple. Okay, and interpret and evaluate laboratory test results sometimes. For example, your therapeutic drug monitoring, because when you're in the hospital setting, all these things will come into play. Clinical pharmacokinetics, results of a quality control test, which is done in the industrial setting, where you work in the QA and QC. Okay, so you are to be familiar, and you need to show your expertise and skills, okay, in all these areas. Okay, and then preparing extemporaneously the dosage forms, any medicines for which this would be regarded as a normal means of provisions, because you don't prepare all the dosage forms or medicaments on the spot extemporaneously. Certain medications will have to be done like that because that's why it's said regarded as the normal means of provision. You need to dispense in that way. So you need to have the dispensing skills. Okay, you cannot be playing around without knowing or without demonstrating that in front of your customers, right? So it's very important, and it's embedded. That's why you have all the dispensing sessions, the practical sessions associated with pharmaceutics, okay, and all the pharmacy practice aspects as well. Recognize common disease states and make appropriate responses to the presented symptoms and information. Recognize and respond. In short, we call it as recognize and respond to symptoms. It means that someone is coming to you, a customer is coming, you need to recognize what is the problem sometimes with the patients, recognize common disease. They may come and ask you, okay, I have a sore on my skin. Can you help me as a pharmacist? Then looking at the sore, you should be able to find out, okay, does it look bacterial or whether it's a fungal, right? A very simple example. All right, and you might have to discuss with your other healthcare partners as well to have the right medication dispensed, because certain things can be done over the counter without the prescription as well. Okay, but there are schedules which requires prescription, okay, which you will be learning in your course. Okay, and then formulate and manufacture pharmaceutical products. Yeah, you should be able to develop formulations. You should be able to manufacture. You need to, because you are also equipped to work in the industrial setting, right? So this is also one of the very important competency which you should be able to show or demonstrate. Next, you should also be able to apply principles of quality assurance, be it scientific or be it professional activity, while you are working as a pharmacist, or you are doing anything that involves science. For example, you are doing some research. Okay, you need to ensure all that you do complies with the quality. You cannot be just doing something and present the data that you have, right? So you need to adopt to certain methodologies. You need to adopt to protocols, and you need to be professional enough. If you get something wrong, you get a negative value, yes, you need to say it as a negative value. You shouldn't be thinking, of course, you should be thinking, why is the value coming like this? You need to troubleshoot, learn something out of it, but not to manipulate. Okay, so ethics and professionalism is embedded in all these things. So it cannot be taken as a separate element. Okay. Okay. So moving forward, skills for a pharmacist. A pharmacist will have to develop a broad range of skills that are attractive to employers in all sectors that we are going to discuss. Okay. So in short, we have discussed all these. We have discussed about the technical, the skills, the cognitive skills. We have discussed about the interpersonal skills. All these things are hidden, sometimes hidden within the curriculum. You cannot separate it out. Okay. So you need to be aware of all these things. And these components are very, very essential for you to develop. Okay. So moving forward into the career aspects, I'm not going to talk much about the individual aspects now, but just to show you an overview of what we will be discussing. Okay, so we will be discussing, our discussion will revolve around these areas. Okay, so moving forward, the first thing that we would that I would like to put forward to you, because as a pharmacist, the first thing that should come into your mind or comes to my mind is serving as a community pharmacist. Of course, I did have the privilege to serve as a community pharmacist way back many years ago for a very short period of time, because I did start my career as an academician. Okay, but for a very short period of time, yes, I did involve myself into the community pharmacy setting because I wanted to develop my skills. All right. So primarily, the pharmacist here is going to help patients and the public, all right, assessing their conditions, as I told you earlier, assessing their conditions and making decisions about which medicines they should take. Okay, you as a pharmacist looking at the prescription, you will be able to know if there's anything wrong, or you can suggest to your physician as well, to the physician who has actually referred this prescription. Dispense medicines and offer advice to patients on keeping health, on well-being. That's why counseling is very important. Advice, you should practice that. Whoever has already planned to get into embarking on the community pharmacy, it's not that you set up a pharmacy store. It's not just, don't take it as a business. Yes, it's a business, of course, but it comes with caring. Pharmaceutical care is needed there. All right. So in addition to that, emerging roles, what I'm going to explain about the emerging roles here is the pharmacists are taking up more clinical roles that have been traditionally been undertaken by the doctors. Yes, it is happening now. Example, management and monitoring of long-term conditions like asthma, diabetes, delivering flu vaccines, conducting medicines reviews, etc. All these things are being done by pharmacists because we are looking at the global perspective. All right. So you need to know that all these elements are very important. Okay. These are emerging now. You should be aware of that. Okay. And in addition, yes, nevertheless, owning a pharmacy business. Okay. Some own their own business. Some work in large pharmacies, and it's also possible. All right. So then, moving forward, what is a skill? What is a skill? You need to ask a question. Am I having all these things? Or you should take it in a way that it's the right time for you to explore into all these things and develop all these skills in order to be a competent community pharmacist. Communication and counseling. Yes, I told you already, counseling, be able to pass the information, very clear information which is authentic. You cannot be just talking all that you know, which is not authentic, right? It has to be an authenticated and evidence-based explanation, because you're working with the healthcare individuals, you're working with the patients, you are dealing with their life. You're part of the healthcare system, right? So you should be able to prescribe, screen the prescription, okay? Prescription screening, right? As I discussed earlier. Device counseling, for example, using an inhaler. Somebody might be, of course, the physicians would have told them, but when they buy it, they might not be able to use it effectively, or they might be stranded. but they might be shy to actually open up to you. But you as a pharmacist will have to open up the packet. You can ask them if they want explanation, or you can provide free counseling, allot some time. So they will never forget. They will be able to understand the role, the importance of having a pharmacist in the pharmacy. That's why I want to emphasize, you need to be irreplaceable. You need to be competent enough that you cannot be, people should perceive that pharmacists cannot be replaced by an alternative. Okay. Researching and providing information. You might not be having all information in your mind. Yes, you have some index, you have some compendiums, you have some reference. Okay. Protocols to refer. Yes, you are free to do it. And being in the community setting, you need to be commercially aware as well. What is happening around? Because you are part of the business. Business is also one of the aspects. Commercial awareness. And not to forget, ethics. Ethical practice. You need to practice ethically, professionally, because you are dealing with humans. You are dealing with patients. All right? Okay. Yes. Good to go to the next one. Hospital pharmacy. Yeah, hospital pharmacy. This involves a pharmacist to be situated in a hospital setting. Being part of the healthcare team, the healthcare setting or a hospital, it can be a government hospital, it can be a private hospital. Okay. So what you are going to do, it's not that you work as a pharmacist in and you just take up the dispensing. It's not like that. Hospital pharmacy is huge. Okay. Sometimes you might also want to call it as clinical pharmacy. It's somewhat overlapping. Okay. You should know that the pharmacists or other pharmacy technicians working in the hospitals, they are also involved in manufacturing. You might be, it might be strange for you. They are also involved in manufacturing, developing, testing, supplying and monitoring the effectiveness of all medicines being used in the hospital. For example, sterile preparations. Okay, for example, saline, normal saline preparation. You need not buy your normal saline which is being used for your hospitals all the time from outside. You have the competency because you are a pharmacist. As I told you, you have the ability to prepare. You have the ability to dispense, as I told you in my very first slide. Provide, in addition, and not to forget, provide advice to professionals and patients. Your professionals include healthcare individuals. Provide advice to other healthcare professionals, not just patients. Evaluate medicines and develop protocols working along with the team. Other areas in the hospital setting also includes emergency medicine departments, quality assurance, clinical trials, okay, medicine information departments. All these things are the other areas where a pharmacist is required within the hospital. Okay, so you don't stop there. Over the years, you gain experience, and then you also take up management roles. You also take up teaching roles. For example, you might be called as preceptors when students come in from the universities, colleges, to have their hospital attachment, to have their community attachment. We have preceptors. So the preceptors are pharmacists working in that particular setting, and also helps in educating students, those who come for training, because you are there in order to develop your competency, in order to develop your skill. Okay, making use of the experiences that the preceptor has. So it's a knowledge sharing activity, and you learn through the knowledge that is being shared. You learn from the experience. All right. So this is to be thought of. This is what happens inside the hospital pharmacy. It's not that no hospital has the doctors or physicians, and it has a pharmacy which dispenses medication. It doesn't end there. Okay, it's a huge area. Okay, so as I emphasized earlier, skills. What are the skills? The skills involve your communication. The skills include your taking medication history, and all the ones that are listed here. Okay, so skills, all these skills are actually developed while you are being a student in the program, through your experience, through the knowledge that you acquire from your lectures, from your workshops, all right, from the several pharmacy skills development teaching sessions. Okay. So patient case presentation is one of the very important. It's not that presentation of slides. Patient case presentation means you need to discuss about the very important elements, the pertinent facts of the patients, their age, their problem, associated problems, what are the different drugs that they have been consuming, and this is the issue. Any renal compromise on the renal function, etc. Okay, so all these things comes by through practice, okay, and also from your experience, okay, exposure to the setting. All right. Now moving forward, yes, the industrial setting, a sector which has multiple avenues to be explored with pharmacy, with a pharmacy background, and being part of a very responsible team. See the number of areas that I have listed here, right? Starting from formulation all the way until pharmacovigilance. Okay, so all these are the different areas that you can explore under the pharmaceutical industrial segment. Okay, industrial segment. We will not be going, unfortunately, due to time constraints, and you might have prior knowledge. Certain areas I will not be exploring in detail, but the important ones here I will be discussing. Okay. Yes, the first component about your industrial pharmacy. First thing under it, I would like to discuss about quality control. Okay, many of the pharmacy graduates with the B.Pharm or a master degree, right, immediately want to embark into, when you want to embark into an industrial associated profile, right, you get into quality control. Okay, so where you work with approving incoming materials, you need to work with, because it's part of the in-process quality control measures, you would have learned it already. You procure the raw materials, you need to ascertain that the raw materials that you have procured is well and good, is of quality, is in compliance with your requirement. Then you also take part in the production and then the product. So there are different stages, as you know, which involves quality control measures to be in place, right? So as a quality control staff involved in that particular area, you will be working in all these sections associated with your quality control. And it is very necessary that under the skill, you need to be able to troubleshoot. Okay, because when you are working with quality control, when you're working with raw materials, production unit, machinery, you should be competent enough to work. You should be competent enough to work with a tableting machine, a capsule machine. You should be competent enough in using a spectrophotometer, okay, or a pH meter, something like that. Very simple. To give you an example, you cannot be standing there stranded without knowing how to use it. Okay. So again, this comes again with experience and training, right? And the level of your qualification. Sometimes your B Pharmacy program, yes, it's doesn't come with a specific specialty. You are given the basics, and you need to master yourself with the respective master program. Okay. So effective usage of data analysis. Here you have your data and you should be able to analyze it and you should be able to present. Okay, so the data analysis, that's why you have the research element. You are doing research in your B.Pharm program. Okay, you have your practicals, right? You're supposed to collect some data from the small experiments that you perform, and you collect the information and you're doing some you're working on it, and you are doing a test point, right? So that's how you are building up your skills. And now the research skills, you have been exposed to research as well. Okay, so while you are researching, you're doing your research in your B.Pharm program, then you do some literature survey, you develop a hypothesis first, and then you embark on your research to accept your hypothesis or to reject your hypothesis. You need to have a very good research question as well. Okay, and effective interaction with other departments. Yeah, as I told you earlier, you cannot just stop. You cannot work in silo. You cannot work within yourself. You need a team, right? So you need to have a team playing skill as well. It's one of the soft skills. Ability to manage multiple priorities. Okay, you need to be multi-talented. You cannot be just immersed into one particular aspect because you're working with many many priorities, and you need to set the priority as well, okay, according to the timeline, because achieving things in timeline is very important when you're working in the industry. Okay, the next component is regulatory affairs. Yeah, you can partly put this regulatory affairs in the industrial setting and also outside. Okay, some of the regulatory bodies are also part of the regulatory affairs. Okay, so that's why you don't see that I have not put it as industrial pharmacy stroke regulatory affairs. Okay, so here the regulatory affairs offices, once you take up this role, right, because as a pharmacist you are eligible to work in this sector as well. The regulatory affairs officers act as a link between companies and regulatory authorities to ensure that the products are manufactured and distributed in compliance with appropriate legislation. You need to comply with the requirements, for example, compliance with the medicines and health regulatory aspects, right? So you have guidelines, you have protocols to adopt. Okay, so this one, be it a cosmetic sector or be it a pharmaceutical sector or be it a veterinary practice or veterinary medicines, you have these regulations in place. Okay, herbal products, yes. Okay, so in addition to this, while you are in the regulatory aspect area studying, you should have time, you should be spending time studying scientific and legal documents, because it is a documentation which you are submitting for approval for audit purpose. Very, very important for auditing. How the sample was taken, what is the protocol, what time it's collected, because if you work in the industry, it's real time. You have a project which is going on in some part of India, but the project actually is from Germany. All right. So when you are working in the industrial setting, everything is real time. You have software, you have tools, right? So when the experiment is running in your lab, people can collect the data there. So there is no room for you to play around. Okay, so all these things are part of the regulations. You need to have the data has to be stored, how the data has to be stored, how the data has to be collected. It's voluminous, because I did get into some of the project development with a foreign collaborator, and the amount of data that they want is humongous, I should say. All right, so you will be able to understand while you are working with the industrial setting. Liaising and negotiating with regulatory authorities, yes, you need to work with them, outline requirements for labeling, etc., everything pertaining to the product, because you need approval, so it needs to comply with the standards. Okay, so the skills required for the regulatory affairs would be all these: understanding the legal documentation work. In addition to the documentation, you need to be scientifically aware as well, because you need an expert. Why you are placed there? Because you have the competency, you have the skill to understand all these things and to also perform. A documentation work can be done by anybody, but it is not a simple documentation. It comes with scientific values. It comes with a purpose which involves science. So you require the qualified personnel. Awareness of the regulations. The regulations might be different from one country to another country, from one body to another body. So you just can prepare one single documentation which you can put it to all. All right. For example, if you are in the academic sector, you have something called as the qualification agency, AICTE. For example, we have in Malaysia, we call it as MQA, or Ministry of Education. For example, the Indian setting, you have AICTA, PCI inspections coming in. So you have set of documents to be showed to them in order to maintain the approvals or the standards of the program. It's like an audit, right? So these are some of the examples that I would like to code. Okay. Then moving on to clinical research, which is also part of the industrial pharmacy. The clinical research associates, which has been in boom in the past many years, I should say. it is really growing, booming, because new drug developments involves clinical trials, and you require the associates, which is also a pharmacist. You are aware of the drugs, how the drugs works on the human body, and you're also aware of the ethical practice, the professional practice, and you need to develop few or pass few examinations, for example, good clinical practice examinations, etc. Okay, so as a clinical research associate, you will be responsible to organize and administer clinical trials of new or current drugs. Okay, the responsibilities, identifying and briefing appropriate trial investigators, because you work as a team. Trial investigators, there might be other individuals, you might have a doctor in. Okay, it's like a team, the clinical research. You need to work along with the team, designing trial materials and supplying the materials to the different study centers, because not all the trial is going to take place in one area. It's going to be located in different settings, different areas, okay, because you need population. Providing the clinicians with instructions on how to conduct the trials, collecting and authenticating data. Data collection is an art, and then you need to validate it. It's not that all the data is going to be useful. You need to eliminate the ones which is going wrong, and you need to have the skill to identify which one is actually not valid, really. So you might have to work on it. Okay, you need to monitor the progress. It's not that easy. Monitor the progress throughout the entire duration of the trial, because you involve people. It involves population, so you might have to deal with them very carefully. Okay, and you cannot attract them with large sum of money when you recruit. So it involves a lot of things, right? So scope, yes, pharmaceutical companies, clinical contract agents, houses, hospital, academic department, etc. All these places you have your clinical research going on. Okay, so the skills set that you are expected to have is understanding the importance of good clinical practice. For example, although I'm an academician, as you know that academia involves research, which we'll be discussing. Yes, I was at one point of time was required to pass this good clinical practice in Malaysia. Yes, I was fortunate enough to pass, because the passing minimum is very high. It's 80% passing. So I was fortunate enough to pass the examination after undergoing a workshop of 3 days, and I passed in the first attempt. So it's going to be very simple. Only thing, you need to have dedicated time for it to prepare and understand the aspects, because the terms, the definitions are overlapping very. You should be able to read between the lines. Okay, provide scientific input to the development of contingencies where emerging data requires changes to the program and individual studies. While you're collecting the data, there might be some hiccups there, and you might have to change the entire protocol itself because of that hiccup that has occurred. So you should be able to, as a professional, you should be able to provide scientific input in order to develop the contingency plan. Means, what is the backup plan? What is plan B, right? In order to move forward, or how are we supposed to proceed, or are we supposed to stop the trial? So it involves some amount of decision making as well, along with the team. In addition, nevertheless, organization, IT, and administrative skills. Yeah, you cannot just override. You cannot overlook these skills. Very important. All right, moving forward to academia. As an academician, the career opportunities include universities, research institutes where you involve in teaching. Okay, carry out research and also involve in practice. Being an academician is not easy, you know, because being an academician, I should say that I'm being evaluated 360. All right, your teaching, your research, your administration as well. You cannot be at the teaching all the time. You need to progress. Okay, you need to climb up the ladder. So you need to prove, and you need to be flexible enough, right? So educate students using variety of teaching methods. You need to upgrade yourself. Yes, when I was a student, we had blackboard teaching. Then I was also exposed to PowerPoint teaching, right? PowerPoint at that point of time when I was a student, it had, there's a film which is kept on the projector. Now we have the PowerPoints which can be projected using a different kind of mountable projectors which are smaller in size. So you need to adapt to technology. You need to adapt to advancements. You need to be ready to change. Change is the one that never changes, right? So in order to meet up with the requirement of the teaching, you need to adapt. Okay, you cannot be confined to blackboard teaching. You need to upgrade. So educate students with variety of teaching methods. It's not that lectures. If you look into the curriculum globally, it doesn't have only lectures. It has lectures. It has skills development sessions, right? Like pharmacy skills development. It has simulated patients being involved, right? You have computer aided learning sessions, for example, where you use the computer, which has certain tools where you can work with very minimal intervention of the staff. You work and develop on your own. We call it a student independent learning. So the staff associated with that particular teaching activity is supposed to be ready to deliver that. Okay, please do not assume that academia is easy and I can just go walk into the classroom, just tell something and come. No, the roles are emerging for academicians as well. You are wanted when you're competent and when you are sound enough and you are improving and upgrading your knowledge and skill. Learning never ends for an academician, you know. Okay, assessing the students on their cognitive and psychomotor skills. You need to assess students. So you need to sometimes devise the appropriate tool, whether it's going to be an essay question or an MCQ. What is your learning objective? What are the outcomes to be achieved from that particular subject or a module? And what is the particular kind of assessment that would be suitable to assess the cognitive and the psychomotor abilities of the students? Curriculum development, for example. Maybe curriculum development, you need to progress. You need to go higher up your ladder, right? So you need to embark on curriculum development aspects. You need to work with the educationists, okay, curriculum development team. And nevertheless, mentoring, you need to take care of the students. For example, I'm an academician. I do teaching, I do research, I do administration, but mentoring is very important. I have certain set of mentors, a set of mentors every year at different semesters, meaning you provide pastoral care to your students as a mentor, guide them in the appropriate way. They should be free enough to come to you and discuss with issues pertaining to the studies or any issues that they have within themselves. They can discuss, and it's going to be highly confidential. And then you provide mentoring support and ensure that they have the overall development. This is being practiced, right? And perform research. Yeah, you cannot refrain from doing research because you have to do it. It's part of academia. Be it any form of research, you be the expert in that area. And sometimes it comes with your master degree. For example, you have done your master's in a particular area, a project in a particular area, and then you further develop in that research area. For example, in my case, it was inflammation, and then I somehow embarked into diabetes, connecting inflammation and diabetes and drug interaction, etc., etc. So that's how I started defining my own area. Okay, and of course, taking up management roles are also possible. For example, when you have experience, more than 10 years, you have PhDs. So a minimum of PhD is required when you want to become a principal. Okay, where you are involved with the management. Okay, so taking up management roles also possible. Okay, what are the skills? Yes, you need to be an expertise in your subject area. For example, you are a chemist. Yeah, you need to be an expert. A pharmacologist need to be an expert as well. Okay, enthusiastic. You should be enthusiastic enough to ensure that you are able to pass the passion, okay, to your students, because students take teachers as their role models. All right, so you need to be able to show passion. I should say that I'm into teaching because I'm passionate about it. I wanted to do teaching. That's why I'm in teaching. Okay, publish research. Yes, while you are in teaching, you also need to publish. So you need to writing skills, how to write effectively a publication, a manuscript writing skills. That's why you have your thesis writing. You're developing your thesis writing through that from the program. Okay. You should also have the capacity for original thought and the ability to produce original research for publication. It's not that you have some data there and you take up the data and cook up something and you produce. No, it should be your original work, and you need to have the raw data to support your work, and it should be done ethically, follow adopting the protocols. Okay. And next thing, very important, is that's why flexible approach to work. You cannot be saying that, yeah, this is going to be my role, I'm not going to embark on that, I'm an academician, I'm going to teach. No, it's not going to be like that. Yes, flexibility is important. That's why I told you change is inevitable when you are in this profession, right? Then moving on to the research aspect. Yeah, do not overlap this with the research that we have spoken all this while. That research is associated while you are being an academician. This is a research scientist. You can take it this way. You are working, you're going to work as a research scientist, all right? Although you have a pharmacy degree, a bachelor degree, a master degree, a PhD. PhD is minimum in order to continue research as a scientist. Okay, you need to have a PhD. You cannot just go to this level with a B Pharm. You need to have a master's, minimum of masters, and sometimes while you're working there, you might get fundings to further explore research with which you can get your PhD as well. So research scientists are responsible for designing and undertaking and analyzing information from controlled laboratory-based investigations. Okay, undertaking and analyzing information, I repeat, from controlled laboratory-based investigations, experiments, and trials. Okay, so this is very important. You are doing something in a controlled setting, and when you are doing it repeatedly, you need to have the same data. The output should be the same. You cannot be getting one data or the other each time. If you're getting that, it means the protocol that you have adopted is not standardized, right? So you need to take into all these things. So your role: planning, conducting experiments, okay, recording data, carrying out data collection, research writing, okay, keeping up with the data, meaning upgrading yourself. There might be some advance on diabetes now, so I should be ready to look into it, learn what is the newer things. Where is the diabetic research going? I cannot be sitting with metformin. Okay, now, yes, metformin is already there. It's in and out. I need to look for new avenues, how metformin can be repurposed. Now we are all talking about gliptins. Okay, we are all talking about newer agents for diabetes treatment, for something like that. So advancement of your knowledge. Okay. So what are the skills required for a researcher? Yeah, you need to understand research, and you need to develop your own discipline. Okay, you need to use the appropriate methods, understand and abide by all legislations. You need to understand that. For example, I've been here in Malaysia for almost 8 to 9 years, and yes, as introduced, I've been able to secure research grants. For that, I need to know what is the niche area in that particular country. What is the requirement of the country? Because when you have funds, you are reporting to someone. You are liable to give them back for what you have been awarded. So that fund is not coming to you. It's going into research materials. It's going into funding your students. All right, something like that. So you need to understand and abide by the requirements. Okay, so if you are considering staying in academia, right, you will need to be able to research, understand, and capitalize on relevant funding streams in your discipline. So you need to know, because you know research is expensive. So you need money. So you cannot take money from your own pocket. You need funding. So there are several funding agencies, national funding agencies. You have international funding agencies. It's competitive. Not all the funds are successful. For example, my first funding proposal was rejected as a PI. Okay, but I did not stop there. I went forward. I started writing again. I learned from my experience, wrote another proposal. It was successful at my second attempt. Okay, so it's possible. Okay, now we are embarking something on that is emerging and quite new, a very competitive profile. A pharmacist can also work or serve the military. Okay, you're not going into the battlefield. You're not going to get into the, the war, the act of war or something like that. But you are going to provide pharmaceutical care, right? So working in Army, working in the Navy, the Air Force, providing pharmaceutical care. Yes, it is happening already. Work with a multidisciplinary team in a very, very pressurized environment. It's not going to be a white collar job if you are thinking of. No, it's going to be a highly pressurized environment. Okay, and you should have the patience to undergo the rigorous training. Okay, it's not an easy task. Okay, but I don't mean to say that you cannot do it. You should have the zeal to do it. You should have the passion. Highly pressurized environments where access to medicines and transportation may be limited. Transportation may be limited because as a military pharmacist, the transportation, why the transportation is limited? Because you are supposed to provide pharmaceutical care to a place which is flooded, no roads, nothing. You might use a small boats to supply medicaments, to supply medications. So the environment is not, you're going to work within your office. Of course, working within your office is also possible because it depends upon where you are placed, whether it's at the base or whether it's at the situation. Okay, so it's going to be challenging. Provide expert advice on drug therapy for pain management, infectious diseases, intensive care, etc. So you are part of the team to provide expert advice on all these aspects. You are supposed to suggest and provide countermeasures in warfare. Okay, for example, biological warfare, it could be a chemical warfare, it could be anything. You should be competent enough to immediately suggest, immediately provide them with suggestions to battle against the issue. That is what is called as countermeasures. Serve the advisory and professional committees. You can be part of that. Manage and control medical supplies and equipments. Yeah, it's the reason why I said challenging is I've seen since I've worked with certain members, I've been acquainted to military pharmacists. So the videos or the explanatory sessions that was given to us was really challenging. Okay, carrying the material supply, movement, because the movement is restricted. It's not an easy road to travel, right? So this is quite challenging. But it is something new which you can venture. All right. Okay, veterinary pharmacy. Yes, like humans, animals do have similar needs. However, their bodily functions might be slightly different or very different compared to that of the humans. So when you are working as a veterinary pharmacist, you should be able to possess expert knowledge in medicines that are used for veterinary purposes. You will be involved in the manufacturing, the supply and distribution of veterinary medicines. Okay, I mean, you can also get into, you can start your own veterinary medicines manufacturing unit as well. It's possible. I've known people who are doing it. Okay, it's a very good area. Okay, and it has to be prioritized. Okay, not to be neglected. Okay, so could also be involved in the treatment of pets. More than pets, I would like to put it as livestock. Yeah, because livestock will also require medications, right? Because you have a poultry farm, for example, you have a poultry farm, you have cattle, right? And then it is going to be consumed by humans. Okay, it's for human use. So of course, disease is inevitable. You need to control, and it requires medications. And treating animal is different from that of humans because the dosing is going to be different. Okay, you have larger poultry, and you need to ascertain that the dose that is moving through the pipes, they are all accurate, so they work in a different manner. Okay, but there is a huge amount of scope to be explored. Then clinical academia. These are all something new, might not be readily available in all countries, but certain countries have already started working on it, and they have been doing well. The profile combines the clinical aspect with the research aspect. Okay, so the development of skills pertaining to hospital or community is primarily focused because it comes with clinical academia. So you focus on developing your hospital, the practicing skills, pharmacy practice skills, your community skills. In addition to that, you will also be doing research. Okay, the research aspect will focus on improving patient care because you are most towards the, it's not going to be a lab-based research. Okay, your research is going to be associated with the practice-based research, and then eventually you are trying to improve the patient care. Okay, so funding would be necessary because would be necessary to cover the salary, your salary, because you need funding. You apply for grants, okay, or the supporting society or something will have to be applying for grants, and then you get the fund. Then you have your salary from that fund. Okay, you need to use your make use of the fund for your research expenses, etc., etc., etc. It goes like that. Any research, in order to survive, that it will require funds. Okay. Primary care pharmacy. So what is the role as a pharmacist here? The primary care pharmacist, when you are taking up or when you are working in this sector, plays a significant part in managing medicines. The primary focus would be on maximizing benefit and minimizing the risk associated with medicines, as well as making the best use of resources allocated for medicines. Okay, so that's why I mentioned as focusing on maximum benefit and minimizing the risk. Okay, so all these things are associated with patient care. So where you're going to work, you are going to work in the local community, supporting the general practitioners. You work along with nurses, community pharmacists, and other healthcare professionals. Eventually, all are fighting in order to provide better patient care. All right. So you play your role as a pharmacist as a pharmacist with this team of individuals. All right. So pharmacists working with general practitioners. It's one of the emerging role of care delivery. So how to explain? This profile will involve consulting with and treating patients directly by working very closely with general practitioners to resolve the issues that the patient has. Okay, and also you are enabling through this support. You are enabling the practitioners to actually focus on the skills that they would be required for, where they are most needed, for example, on the diagnosing aspect, treating patient aspect. So issues related with managing, medications, all right, treating patients with their, giving advice, etc., can be done by a pharmacist. So you need to work closely with your team. You cannot be standing alone. The next one would be pharmacists working in care homes. Yes, you need to be aware there is a voluminous increase in these elderly care homes, meaning that elderly care, meaning when people get aged, they go to the elderly care homes where people are taken care by responsible individuals, right? So a pharmacist also has a role there. And what he or she is going to do, a pharmacist provides service for patients in nursing or residential homes. Okay. So for example, sometimes the individuals there, they are already elderly, right? So they might not be able to follow the prescription, and they might have medications for sure. It's not one medication. It's going to be multiple prescriptions, and they might not know how to use it properly and effectively. Safe use of medicines is also one of the priority of pharmacists. So a pharmacist provides service for patients who are already there. Okay, elderly people with complex medical conditions, responsible for ensuring that the individuals there, the patients there, are administered with the correct medicines at the right time. Okay, so a pharmacist's role is necessary because you as a pharmacist have the competency to find out what is happening, to find out if everything is going as per the requirement. Okay, and to also manage the stocks, managing medicine stock and medicines waste. What do you mean by medicines waste? Yeah, it has to be disposed appropriately. And for example, the box that they use to store all their medications, the elderly people might also have outdated medications which has already been expired, but they do not know. So you as a pharmacist will have to remove all those things. Tell them that you are removing it for this purpose. This is outdated. This is expired already. You cannot use it anymore. And sometimes the pill will have to be swallowed just like that. It shouldn't be broken because it's coated, as you know. And sometimes because of convenience, they might cut it into several small pieces, break it into several small pieces. So it also comes with some education. Okay, you should be able to train. You should be able to train the individuals who's taking care of those patients there. Okay, you should be able to also educate the patients how to use and what to do and what not to do politely. Okay, having maintaining professionalism and also having an ethical practice there, in order to, because you hold a very responsible position there. So you are helping the patients there, you are helping the individuals who are taking care of the home. Okay, so that would be your role, right? Next thing is medical writing. Medical writing, yes, as a pharmacist, you also can get into medical writing, which involves the development and production of documents that deal specifically with medicines or healthcare. Okay, so this medical writing profession will require knowledge in both writing and also have knowledge about science, combining a writer's creative talent with the rigor and detail of research and the scientific process involved in it. Okay, so the roles and opportunities are evolving. It's not restricted, it's evolving, because this medical writing has been there for some time already. Okay, and with pharmacy degree you can also explore this. So what are the skills that would be required? For example, citation. Okay, because you are referring something, you are preparing a document. All right, it could be a protocol, management protocol, etc. You need references, so you need to have the ability to cite. Okay, then you need to have interviewing skills. Okay, you need to deal with individuals who participate in any of your project which requires interviewing them. Okay, so then translating scientific information. For example, you have your data, make sense of that data that you have collected. That data you have collected, you will have to explain, you will have to put it in a way or project it in a way that it is understandable by all. Okay, so you are the middleman there, which will be who will be involved in actually doing this. Okay, making it simple and be able to be understood easily. All right. Okay, now moving forward, what are the avenues? Now we have spoken about skills, we have spoken about knowledge, we have spoken about skills, we have spoken about competencies, etc., etc. And we have also looked into the various career aspects, and you know what is the importance of those career opportunities and what are the skills needed. So you need not be going and searching for skills to be developed. As I told you earlier, it is in your curriculum already. It is in your curriculum already. It is in your program already, whether it is explicit or whether it's going to be hidden. Okay, for example, your problem-based learning skills. You're given a problem in your workshop. You are supposed to think. A problem could be a simple problem or a complex problem. For example, your practicals that also involves problems. For example, there might be some errors with your formulation, and you will be asked to test whether the formula is right or not. The formulation is right, whether we could proceed with the formulation. Okay, for example, when you do your project, when you do your final year project, or when you do your master degree project, you have it's not that research is easy, right? So you end up with some sort of hiccups. So you learn through experience. Okay, so when you have a problem, you have a learning associated with it. So different programs in different countries approaches this in a different way. Okay. Then, for example, your PhD, pharmacy skills development, communication, pharmacy skills development. You need to communicate. You need to respond to symptoms. You need to screen the prescriptions. Okay. How you are supposed to do a device counseling. Okay. So all these things, how to respond to a calls over the phone. Okay. How to talk to a physician, how to talk to a patient, what to talk to a patient, what not to talk to a patient, because you have limitations. You are a pharmacist. You need to restrict yourself. The role is very important. Okay. Although you know with the amount of knowledge, the information being passed to the patient should be good enough and not to panic them. Okay. So all these skills, the pharmacy practice skills can be done, also available. Then we have something called as objective structured clinical examinations, which we call in short as OSCEs, which are being practiced in globally, right? So these examinations will test on the essential skills that you have picked up through all these learning, and you are being assessed, all right, on your practice-based skills, okay, which is almost towards the end of your pharmacy program, okay, which is maybe in your 4th year. And sometimes it is also part midway, because the skills that you achieve midway and towards the end is going to be different. Initially, you are being introduced, and then you're going to perform. Okay, knows how, shows how, does. So it's going to be like this. So next is your practical aspect. Okay, your practicals, you have different types of practicals associated with different types of subjects. Okay, through your practical training, you are developing your skills. Internship attachments in your community, industrial visits, community visits. You have your hospital visits or attachments. Some of the programs might have mandatory attachments. All right. So all these things are different avenues for you to actually take it very seriously and take up the opportunity to train yourself, to groom yourself, to be able to be picked, to be able to be competent, okay, among the crowd. Okay, you cannot be just floating along with the crowd. You need to be competent. That's why I told you in the beginning, pharmacists cannot be replaced. All right. Okay, so in summary, your program, you need to value your program. It's the one which is going to be your primary enabler to develop your skills. And we have discussed in detail about all these things, the knowledge of facts and theories relating to the design and manufacturing of medicines. You should be able to communicate with patients and health professionals. Okay, you should be able to do proper documentation associated with pharmacy. Okay, scientifically supported. You should be able to deal with pharmaceutical instrumentation. You should be aware of the laws and legislations. Okay, demonstrate ethical practice, be professional, etc. All right. So all these things are very necessary for a pharmacist, and that is why we have the several elements to deliver all these to the students. All right. So some of the references which I have used, yes, the information, as I told you, the information is widely available. It's that we should have the idea or willingness to actually go and explore. All right. So I hope with this information, you are now confident that you have embarked on the right program at the right time. Okay, so just be confident, value the program that you are undertaking, make use of every individual opportunities that comes across your way, and you define your future. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Sir.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation, sir. Yes. Now it's a time for question sessions. So those who want to ask your questions, now you can raise your hand. I will unmute you. You can ask your questions. Unmute option வரலையா? So Ravindra Sagu.
Yes.
Ravindra Sagu. So you can unmute and you can ask your questions.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, please
Yes.
tell me about military pharmacist.
Yeah, military pharmacist is, you need to get your pharmacy degree, and then you can apply for military pharmacist positions when they are open. And the criteria or the requirement differs from every individual countries. Okay, so when there is a vacancy for a pharmacist under the various the military sectors, you can apply for it, and then you will be called for an interview, and you will be tested for your skills, and then you need to undergo training in order to grow up the ladder. So it is like you have cadres in military, right? So as you have higher qualification, you can go up the ladder. So it requires experience. You need to work, and then you need to have the qualification as well. You need to a bachelor degree might not be sufficient for you to survive long term. You need to have your it's advisable, or you are expected to have a master degree to go beyond. Yes, so it is one of the opportunity which can be explored, but I would like to tell you that you should have the zeal to go for it, because the training, sometimes you might have to undergo some rigorous training as well. So not many might be immediately willing, but once they look for it, then once they are ready for it, they can go for it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Now Mohan Raj Subramanian. Mohan Raj Subramanian.
Hello, sir. Hello,
Hi,
Myron,
hi.
sir.
Yes.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, good afternoon. I think I know Mohan Raj already.
Good afternoon, sir.
I can recognize his voice.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes. How are you, Mohan
Sure.
Raj?
Fine, sir. I'm fine. What about you, sir, and family?
Yes, all fine. Yeah, your question, please.
My question is, sir, how to become a competent medical writer?
A competent medical writer. Yeah. Medical writing has already been in place for several years already. It all depends upon how you improve on your writing skills. For example, since you're already in the profession, you should be familiar with manuscript writing, publications, etc., right? So here it also involves some amount of documentation, complying with evidence-based information. So you should be able to read through the several literatures that are available and pick out the ones that would be very essential for your area, for your documentation, or the protocol that is being developed. Okay, and then put in your scientific knowledge and your communication, your writing skill together, and draft the document. So your writing skill is very important. Your interpretation skill is very important, and your analytical skill is also very important, because you need to collect information, and also you need to present the data in very simple and easily understandable manner, right? So the document that you prepare should be easily understandable, because you are an expert and you cannot be using we call it as jargons sometimes. Any document that you prepare should be easily readable and understandable by all class of people. Sometimes people who are not expert in your area should also be able to easily understand. Okay, that is one of the requirements when you prepare such kind of documents, any sort of proposal writing or etc. Okay, so the data that you have collected should be valid enough and should be scientifically supported. You need to be very, very careful on that. Yeah.
Sure. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, another one more question.
Yes.
Who requires medical writer?
Who requires where the medical writing is needed, is it? Okay, the medical writing can be, you can be part of industry, which, for example, which prepares protocols for management, which prepares what to say, any sort of scientific information, for example, publication, a news article, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
An insurance company, right?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Because, for example, taking insurance as an example, we call it because I have been interviewed once. So what I was experiencing is you need to, with your skill, a patient is actually applying for insurance. Okay, so you should have the ability to critically analyze the information, whether the information provided is correct, is appropriate for his or her age, and you are preparing a supporting material as an as a expert to the team, saying that okay, this claim is valid and it can be doable, and you also have physicians, so you are working together as a team. So it is like, it is not, you're not going to confine to one sector. You are open to many areas. Insurance
Sure,
is one of them. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Sir, another one questions.
Yeah.
So kindly share your valuable thoughts to Pharma students.
Yes.
What are the skills are required for becoming a good medical writer?
Okay, I think we have looked upon it already. Anyway, since you have asked, I will do it again. For example, for pharmacy students, while you are in your program already, since I have mentioned about writing skills, you should be able to reflect. We have something called as report submissions, practical report submission. Okay, it is not that you are doing a practical and you are actually submitting a report just to show that you have completed, but you are writing something. You are writing something on your own, referring to materials on your experience. So it's like a reflective report. Sometimes you'll have to prepare. So all these reflective reports, short reports, or whether be it a full practical report, etc. Your thesis writing, okay, your workshop submissions, all these things are elements that actually enables a student to write. It is giving an opportunity for the students to write. So when they write, they need to source for information. We cannot write everything on our own, right? We need to source for information, rely on the evidence-based information, and then you try to take up the values and you put it in your own words. You try to draft your own document supporting those evidences, right? So you need to focus on those writing aspects wherever it's there in the program. And while you are writing something, you need an evidence to be backed up. So where is that evidence coming from? It is from existing literature. So you should be able to cite, because when you're using something, you need to give acknowledgement to them as well. So the acknowledgement there is you are taking that resource, making use for your document. So you need to cite it. Okay, so citation, there are different types of citation. Nowadays you have softwares for citation, for example, Mendeley, RefWork, etc. Some of the citation softwares which makes lives easier. Those days it's manual. Okay, so that skill, thesis writing, you are doing research. For research, you are doing literature survey. and then you are developing a hypothesis, you are doing your project work, and then you are writing something, you are submitting a thesis, you are presenting your data, you have your research presentation, defense presentation, right? So you need to present it in a form. You, after doing all these things, writing, citing, everything, you also need to present. The presentation should be clear enough. The data that you present should be understandable by all. So it has to be simple, clear. All right. So these are the areas that you are supposed to develop, these writing skills, presentation skills, translating the data from a complex into a simple, presentable form. Okay. So all these things are actually within the program. So all these things should be taken very seriously, right from the first semester. First semester, it might be a simple writing, but when you come to your final year, your semester 8 or your final year has a project, okay, and you have attachments, you need to submit a reflective report on your attachments. So all these things will enable the student to develop good writing and good communication, developing communication skills, okay, in the form of writing, searching for information, citing information, all these. Yes, this would be good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
Sir, Dr. Mayuran, sir, can you stop sharing your screen, sir?
Oh, all right. Okay.
So now, next question from Simran. Simran B.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
To ask that you had mentioned about pharmacist working with general practitioner.
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted to know that does it have any scope in India, and what are the qualifications required for this?
Okay, this depends, because we are talking at the global perspective. I know that it's being practiced with other professions, for example, countries like in the UK. So it comes with limitations. It might not be applicable to all countries at the moment, but these are all emerging, right? So the emerging trends will be might be put into use in the near future. Of course, there is scope, but you need to look into the opportunities, whether it is developed, whether that segment is already active or not, because we are seeing the forefront. What has happened, I mean, you know already what has been happening and what is the way forward. So these are something to look forward, the opportunity, the future opportunities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So of course, you need to look into your the segments or sections under the Pharmacy Council, and then it has to, if that options are available, then you might have to explore.
So what are the qualifications required?
Of course, you will be eligible as a with your B Pharm.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Next, Muthukumaran T. Muthukumaran T. You can unmute and you can talk.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Hi, sir. Hello.
Yes. Hello. Yeah.
So, how are you, sir?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
Sir, the session is very nice, and the information that is explained by you is really very good.
Thank
It's
you.
easy understandable. And my question is regarding, I am studying M Pharmacy in the Department of Pharmacology.
Excellent. Yeah.
What is the future perspective, and what is the future job that suits me?
All right. Since you have already completed your masters, you have gone to the next segment of opening up the avenues for you already, because sometimes not all the avenues might be applicable for an applicant with just a Bachelor of Pharmacy degree. I don't mean to say that Bachelor of Pharmacy is restricted to opportunities, but in order to grow beyond, for example, in order to get into an industrial setting, might be a Bachelor of Pharmacy might be very limited. The scope might be very limited to, I mean, it depends upon the industries again. With your masters, you can get into research-based, and being a pharmacologist, you can get into research-based industrial opportunities. you can get into academia as well if you are passionate in teaching.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah, industry would be. I mean, it depends. For example, I after my master's, I'm also a pharmacologist.
Oh, it's very
I
happy.
got into academia because my passion was teaching primarily, and I also developed extreme interest in research as well. I was very active while I was teaching also, and I'm still active. So I chose a role which enables me to teach and enables me to do research.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
My thought was not to go into a full-time researcher. So you have wider opportunities to explore. But I would suggest, since you have completed your master's, I would suggest you to embark on a PhD very soon.
Okay, okay. So now I am currently doing the final semester, so
Yeah.
that I doesn't get any idea. But after you are giving this, I'm having some clarity.
You explore step by step. You think what you want to do, where you are
Okay.
suitable, and then you decide. Don't do anything in haste. But since you have done your master's, in order to sustain as a researcher, you might need to have your PhD, or even in academia, you need to have your PhD.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your valuable
Welcome.
information. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Next, Sumadur, K. Sumadur.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. Good morning. My name is Sumadhar.
Yeah, hi.
I'm studying B.Pharm final year. And my question to you is that actually I have more interest in regulatory affairs.
All right.
So actually, when compared to the regulatory affairs in foreign countries, India means it will differ from one country.
Yes, because your legislations are going to be different. Yes, I do agree on that.
If I want to do any regulatory affairs job in other country, I should go to a particular course in that country, or can is it sufficient?
For example, I know few of my students who are working as regulatory pharmacists in other countries.
Okay.
Where they did some masters. They actually went up for masters that are related to regulatory affairs, and then they got absorbed into regulatory affairs in various industries. So it is up to it depends on the situation. Sometimes people might want to take you and they might want to train you, but if you will have to work in a foreign environment, right?
Yes,
it's better you have some education there. For example, if you are a farmer, B.Pharm, you are going to graduate B.Pharm very soon. Maybe you can try exploring doing your master's overseas in the country that you would want to pursue your work or something like that, which would make life easier because you get adapted to the setting already. You have to gain your degree from that country. So you can also work overseas by getting masters and PhD from India as well.
So it means I should do any particular course in regulatory affairs, or else no need, sir. I can do in the different course and I can go to that job, or I should do any particular job in the particular course in regulatory affairs when I want to do a job in.
If you are targeting for regulatory affairs, you can do your if you intend to do your masters and you also want to get into your regulatory affairs, then you will have to do something related to regulatory, right, to be on the positive side, because you have a backup already and you will be chosen because you have got the skill that is required. So the amount of training that is required by the industry, the amount of investment actually done on training the freshers would be much lower. So they might want to take someone who has already got or who is familiar with that already, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's how you need to evaluate.
Sorry, sir. I have one more question.
Yes,
Sir,
please.
actually, I'm pursuing my final year. So if I apply for a course on regulatory affairs in another country, and after 2 years after completing my course, and if I want to return back to India, so they will accept my course done in the abroad, sir? If I want to again join in the regulatory affairs in Indian,
See,
Indian.
that you need to check with the board. You need to check any country. It's not only India. For example, when you are doing something overseas and when you want to go back, before you do all the research, right?
Yes, sir.
Because I did all my studies in India, and I'm fortunate enough to survive overseas as well for almost 8 to 9 years. All right. So, of course, the place where I am working did recognize my Indian qualifications. Okay. So it's better that we check what we are doing now, okay, to be compliant or to be acceptable in future as well. So it's better to check with the respective authorities saying that this is your idea and whether it is acceptable or not. You need to check with the relevant bodies here.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Yeah, is Dr. Saravanan, is there any other question?
So there is some common questions from YouTube viewers as well as from the viewers who are joined in the Zoom.
Okay.
So one of the common question is that most of the students, they asked that we are doing an M Pharmacy in different departments. Can you tell me how have to apply for jobs in abroad at MNC?
All right. Meaning that if my understanding is correct, they have they have done the masters already, is it? They have their M Pharmacy already, and it might be pharmaceutics, or it might be pharmaceutical chemistry or pharmacology or pharmacy practice, right? And they want to work abroad. Okay, when you want to work abroad, what is their target? Are they targeting to work in industries, or are they targeting to work in academia?
They are in industry, they are asking, sir.
Industry, all right. Okay, yes, they can approach, but from what I have seen or what I have experienced is when you have your masters, you can try looking for PhD immediately, because that will enable them to sustain. Because with masters, yes, because you need to grow. When you are doing your masters, it means you have already gone out of the level of your B Pharm, and then you are exploring further avenues. For example, academia. Sustaining in academia, you need to have your PhD. Masters might not be sufficient for a longer duration. It was sufficient some point of time. For example, 10 years back, it was sufficient to a certain extent. But now, if you see, minimum of PhD and research experience is being requested. Okay, so industries also welcoming PhD, right? Or else, even though if they are going to recruit a master degree, they might give you some backup to embark on or encourage you to do your PhD very soon. So it depends. Sometimes it depends upon the profile, what you are looking for. If it suits masters, yes, please go ahead with masters, apply and see. but sometimes they will very clearly mention it as PhD. So when it is master stroke PhD, you have some options. And what is going to be your designation? What is the role that is going to be designated, and what sort of area or role that you're going to do is going to determine your requirement. Okay, so in future, in the long run, I would suggest that PhD would be, it's like becoming mandatory. So I would suggest that exploring opportunities abroad or exploring opportunities within India would require a PhD soon. Yes.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Here.
Yes. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Was there a question for me?
Yes, sir. So now the another question is that what is the role of pharmacist in bioinformatics? Is there any scope for pharmacist?
Bioinformatics, yes, there are courses which I think it comes with a master where several of my friends, or where I have seen individuals with BPharm background getting into bioinformatics as well. But whether, if you're going to ask me, bioinformatics is directly associated with the pharmacy degree, I would not completely agree on it, because a biologist can also get into bioinformatics, provided they have some masters with bioinformatics. So of course there is scope, but it would require some additional qualifications or experience working with the informatics. And just the Bachelor of Pharmacy might not be fully accepted without any additional qualifications. You might need to have some ad hoc additional qualifications or specialization in that area. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, can you able to hear?
Yeah, I'm able to hear. It's clear. Yes, Professor Saravanan. Yes, I'm able to hear sound and clear.
Okay, sir. Hello.
Yeah. Yes, Professor.
So, Dr. Mayuran, I think there is some interruption with Dr. Saravanan's net connection.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Then they clarify.
Sorry, sir. I'm unable to hear you now. Sorry, I'm unable to hear you now. It's okay. It's okay. I can understand that there is some technical glitch here. So I'm okay to wait. So please be patient. All the participants, we shall look into your questions. We shall wait for the host to come back. I think they are having some technical issues. Okay. I think I can view your questions. If you are able to hear me, then I can try to answer some of it. Okay.
Sorry for the technical issues. Sir, now can you able to hear? Sir, can you able to hear me? Sir, can you able to hear? Principal, sir. Sir,
Hello, Dr. Saravanan. Hello, 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 hello. நான் பேசி கேட்குறேன். Hello, hello, Dr. Mayuran, am I audible? Hello. சரி அப்போ நான் கன்க்ளூட் பண்ணிடுவேன். சர்டிஃபிகேட் அப்புறம் பார்த்துக்கிறோம். ரைட் ஓகே ரைட் ஓகே. Hello, Dr. Mayuran, am I audible? Hello.
Okay, I think, yeah. Can you hear me now? All right. Okay. If Professor is going to, if Professor Alagarsamy can allow me to answer a few of the question on the chat box, I can go ahead. Is that okay, Professor? Okay, I'm taking some questions from the chat box. Sorry, there are many. Give me some time. Yeah. Okay, let me go from the last term, but I will try to answer the questions. Please give your opinion on the best career option for PharmD students, and also which is a better option, staying in India and look for a job or go abroad. Okay, PharmD is already a very good course, and I think it's a 6 years program in India, right? So if I'm not mistaken, so PharmD has already got a lot of scope on the patient care aspect. You can continue exploring the opportunities for PharmD, but it depends. If you want to go overseas, it depends upon the individual, all right? Because not all overseas candidates thrive. So sometimes they might come across several other these things as well, common the difficulties or this thing. So you can try for opportunities, gain experience. Working overseas, of course, it's ambitious, it's a dream, but it comes with experience. You develop your skills, you develop your talents, and sometimes you cannot be working directly in patient care. You need to write the examination. Yeah. Okay, you need to write the examination. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Carry on.
Yes, yeah. So you need to write whichever country that you're going. For example, if you want to practice on the patient care aspect, you need to get the license from that particular country. You need to write the examination and pass through it, because you are a foreign national and you will not be directly eligible to work as a pharmacist there. Certain areas, for example, your industry, academia might not require you to actually carry out that examination or undertake that examination. But when you are going into the patient care aspect, you will have to be a pharmacist of that particular country. So you need to write the examination, you need to write to the board, apply for it, and then pass the examination. There might be one stage or two stages. Both the stages will have to be covered. You need to undertake internships. So it depends what sort of work that you are applying, what sort of job profile that you are applying for. So that's for PharmD. Of course, it's a very nice program. Yeah. Maybe another question in front.
Hello,
Yeah.
Dr. Mayuran.
Yes, Professor, I can hear you.
One more general question I can observe. Maybe with that question we can conclude the session. The question is like this, huh?
Yes.
So about the career opportunities in abroad.
Mm-hmm.
That is the general question for the B Pharm, M Pharm, and PhD
Okay.
scholars. In this, if you answer, it will be a
Okay.
maybe
All right.
and with that we
Okay.
can conclude. Please.
All right. So career opportunities abroad, working abroad. Yeah, for B Pharmacy students, you already have the Bachelor of Pharmacy degree from India, right? So I would suggest that if you want to go overseas, maybe with your bachelor degree with some experience, clinical, the patient care experience, meaning that if you're aiming to work as a pharmacist in a foreign country before writing that particular exam, or certain countries might also recruit you directly without an examination, right? So, but I would suggest you gain some experience in the community pharmacy, at least 1 or 2 years of experience before you immediately try. I mean, you can try, but having experience is an advantage always, okay? Just passing through the program might not be very suitable immediately. So gain some experience, and you can try opportunities abroad with B.Pharm. Yes, for M.Pharm, if you are very much determined to go overseas, yes, you can take up pursuing, you can try for opportunities if there are, to get into the patient care aspect as well. But whether you hold a master degree or not, you need to write the examination if required. Certain countries that might not require an examination, you can directly work as a pharmacist. But if you're looking into research aspect and academic aspect, a PhD would be necessary. So since you have your M.Pharm already, you can try looking for universities for PhDs in India, or you also can try looking for PhDs abroad. So when you go for PhDs abroad, then you know the setting, you know the environment very well, so you know how are the fundings available. For example, if you want to sustain in research, because research needs funding, so you can do your PhD and then your postdoc, it goes like that. But if you are into an industry, then your industry is supporting you are working with the research team, the drug discovery team in the industry, it goes like that. Okay, for PhDs, yes, your opportunities are wide. Again, I want to tell you that with PhD, yes, industry is possible, academia is possible. Okay, provided you are competent enough, because academia also requires you to do research, it involves teaching, it requires you to publish. So getting into universities overseas also will test your ability in teaching, your credentials that you have, they'll value all your credentials. So it is necessary that when you have your PhD and wanted to go abroad, you need to have the necessary credentials so that you don't leave any box unticked. So you have opportunities to tick all the boxes which is actually required by your employer. So working overseas is possible, but you need to think when you want to do that. But people those who have already who are at their B.Pharm, yes, the opportunities are wide enough. For masters and PhDs, you have already done your masters, you can try, but I would suggest you go for your PhD. People with PhD, there are plenty of opportunities in India as well, but when you want to go overseas, you need to check what are the requirements. Yes, they require a number of publications, the experience of writing research proposals, the experience of applying to international funding bodies, collaborations that you have, because academia is challenging. You need to come into academia with research skill. Just with research skill might not be very much sufficient enough. Okay, and you should also be determined to take up administrative roles, managerial roles as you grow up, but it comes with experience. I think I've answered to Professor's question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I think many of the participants, this general question has been answered.
Okay.
So as we are running short of the time, so
Yes.
we will try to conclude the session. Is
no
there
worries,
any, sir, can you share the mail ID through this chat box, because many are asking?
Yes,
Dr.
I can.
Mayura?
Maybe I can share my personal
mail ID.
Okay. Yeah, this is my personal mail ID, not my official one. I can give some advice through my personal personal ID.
So, okay, with this mail ID you can contact, or still all the participants, you can write to us also. We can also with the contact details of Mayuran. So at any time, our aim is to have such openings, or just to have open the eyes of the many of the budding students who are feeling very much depressed at the end of their course. So our aim is to provide a platform. I think many of you have made use of this opportunity, and many questions are coming, and but we already almost more than 2.5 hours crossed, and as we are due to the lack of time, we would like to conclude the session. But still, at any time, as a pharmacist, we the pharmacist can have a good interaction, and we can have the continued relationship, and definitely Dr. Mayuran will be answering your career opportunity related questions. We, the MNR College of Pharmacy, is a privilege to have such a wonderful speaker in this session. So thank you, Dr. Mayuran,
You're welcome.
for
You're welcome,
sharing your
Professor.
valuable time.
Yeah,
And
you're
I also
welcome.
thank, I also thank our management, Sri MN Raju garu, Chairman, and our Vice Chairman, Sri Ravi Verma garu, for organizing or providing such a platform for all the pharmacists to have such a great interaction. So, with the token of our love and affection to Dr. Mayuran, so kindly accept this e-certificate, sir, and
Yes, sir.
we'll have good interaction in the coming days
Sure.
also.
Thank you very
Kindly
much.
accept this certificate, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Mayuran, and
Thanks.
all the participants. And in the coming days also, and maybe in the next week, we'll have a entirely different session than what we got all this series 4. So
right.
coming week also, we'll have another webinar. We'll share the link. Please participate. And your participation, the numbers are increasing. In this, Dr. Mayuran, we are happy to inform you that almost 2,800 participants have viewed this lecture. Maybe
Wow,
it's
that's great.
happy
That's
thing
excellent.
for your that is efforts taken is not failed. It has been utilized very well.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
and every week we have a number of participants are increasing. That shows the standard and the interest that we are showing to the students. And in the
Sure,
coming
sir.
week also, we expect the participants to show your interest. And definitely our webinar we are organizing also, we are doing a wonderful job. So thank you very much for your patient listening. Thanks a lot to Dr. Mayuran, today's speaker. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir. Thank you.
With
Thank you.
this, I think the feedback we have got also wonderful feedbacks. All the participants have given that the sections were explained very well in a simple and needful manner. So all the credit goes to Dr. Mayuran, also today's speaker, and all the earlier speakers also. I thank you very much with this few words, and I would like to conclude the session. Now I request Dr. Saravanan to sign up. Thank you, one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.